This is Dabu7, an update to this trade war that seems to be heating up and escalating rather quickly. Call it a trade war, call it a tariff war. It's a war here economically with Trump and whoever really wants to contend against his tariffs at this point. Now, there's been a lot going on with tariffs for a long time, other countries imposing them on our country when we in turn were not putting any on them. Trump did come through and level the playing field here recently, but with China's trying to act like they're not going to be told what to do whatsoever about anything. And they've retaliated with a 34% tariff. Trump said he was going to come back with 50, but then they confirm it is a 104% tariff that is on China that goes into effect starting April 9th. What are they going to return with? This is going to continue to go back and forth until some kind of peace is talked out here on this front. But Americans are not realizing they're the ones paying for all these tariffs by and large. Whatever that you get from China or the you need anything from here, it's already begun. I believe that this is rolling us into a reset or a transition where they're going to come to the rescue after either the banks get held hostage or something of that nature goes down. China has infiltrated all of our systems in this country. Do not forget, Christopher Wray said this on his way out the door. He said that they were in our communications, water, you name it. They're in everything. Plus, they've got easy 1 million troops here hiding in the shadows and sitting on property right next to our military bases all across this country. It's crazy. But that's where it's at. Now this is going to another level, everything heating up. And we're just going to have to see where this goes day by day at this point. Hopefully, things start to calm down at some point, but I don't see China bending a knee at all like some of these other countries. I think they're going to stand firm, and this economic showdown has definitely begun. Join me for the live show on Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, where I talk about updates to this and a whole lot more. I'll leave links below. It's been Dabu7. Much love.
Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the whole elect. News in the gospel, brother, from the standard of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Dizam. All right, as these trade wars and tariff wars continue, as you heard, Dabu7 go into the account of China said to raise at least 104% on Wednesday. Shit, which 95% of the things that's produced in this country comes from China. Okay, from your bath rugs to your some of your car parts, clothes, your shoes. You know, Jake liked them fucking Jordans and fitted hats and just everything manufactured in China and Taiwan and different parts of the world. America is playing a dangerous game, man, because really what's going to happen is that the consumer is getting ready to bite the bullet, and, you know, the burden always falls on us, you know, the taxpayer, because the companies, they pass it off into us, and then we end up paying higher prices, which is all systematically designed, okay, because you have what they call the Great Reset, and this is set to bring about economic collapse because, you know, honestly speaking, even though you have countries that's kind of setting up negotiation talks with Trump. Trump really doesn't have any leverage to do any of this shit, especially with the failing dollar amid a financial crisis, man. So yeah, it's getting ready to get real sticky out here. So if you like buying certain things, you better buy it now, because anything that comes over from his point is going to be a lot more expensive, to the point that we're going to be priced out of living, which, shit, hey, we said it, you know. Now, another thing, too, Trump is putting tariffs on these other nations because he's talking about, well, we need to bring manufacturing back to America. Well, you got to understand why you outsourced in the first place. Okay, for one thing, you outsource because, for one thing, you like the cheap labor. Second of all, you're not going to be able to bring back manufacturing to the United States because you got to relearn the systems, and people, they don't want to do that back-breaking manual labor anymore. Okay, the Americans are too fat, out of shape. Their cognitive decline is at an all-time high from being on TikTok all day, Instagram, scrolling on the cell phones. Like, shit, every other person you see, motherfucker got their head in their phone, man. You know, like I was at the store Sunday, and I was walking outside, and a chick ran right into me, and I seen her. You know what I'm saying? But I purposely didn't get out the way because her head is in the phone. I stood right there, and I'm like, watch this bitch bump me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you need to get your fucking head out the phone, because what if somebody came up and robbed you or mugged you or cracked you upside your melon? You know, but they're not going to bring manufacturing back to this place because it's one thing, it's too expensive, and Americans are not getting ready to work for Chinese people wages. Okay, you're not paying an American person $5.95 an hour to build a Ford engine. Like, this is not going to happen. So when you manufacture out to outsource to save on the labor, and on top of that, producing cheaper products, and you have a failing dollar, you have no type of leverage, bro. And you ain't doing nothing but killing your economy, which that's all by design. Okay, so the shit is getting ready to hit the fan, unless they come up with some type of agreement. But even then, things are accelerating, man. All right, so it says tariffs on China set to raise at least 104% on Wednesday, White House said, and that's tomorrow. As I think today is what's today, the 8th or the 9th? Yeah, one of them days, I don't know. It's lucky. But anyway, it says President Donald Trump is set to impose an additional 84% in levies across all Chinese imports on Wednesday. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced on Tuesday. It says that would mean all goods from the country are subjected to a tariff or at least 104%, which is ridiculous. But it says China was already set to see tariffs increase by 34% on Wednesday as part of Trump's reciprocal tariffs package. But the president tacked on another 50% after Beijing didn't back off its promise to impose 34% retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods by noon Tuesday. Trump is ass. It says countries like China who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers are making a mistake. Leavitt told reporters on Tuesday, President Trump has a spine of steel and he will not break. But it says the Chinese wants to make a deal. They just don't know how to do it, she added. But she declined to share what, if any, terms Trump would consider to lower tariffs on China. But China was America's second largest source of imports last year, shipping from a total of $439 billion worth of goods to the U.S., while the U.S. exported $144 billion worth of goods to China. It says the mutual tariffs threaten to hurt domestic industries and are posed to result in layoffs. So when you think of domestic, you think of locally. It says that dozens of other countries, as well as the European Union, also face the midnight deadline for new tariff rates. But those rates, which Trump laid out last week, range from 11% to 50%. But Leavitt told reporters that despite several conversations with world leaders aiming to negotiate lower tariffs, Trump has little appetite to delay his plans. It says Leavitt spoke with Trump earlier on Tuesday, and Leavitt says he expects these tariffs to go into effect. So, yep, and this is the result of it. So, shit is getting ready to go up, man, dramatically. All the shit that's made from China, that's not already on your shelves. And then on top of that, American companies are going to capitalize off that because what's already here shouldn't be taxed. But they're going to put the taxes on the American people because that's how wicked this society is, as the scriptures say, that an unjust ruler, you know? But anyway, this is the book of 1 Timothy 6 and 17. It says, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded. And these elites, okay, to the lower level luminaries like Trump and, you know, the president of China and these world leaders, they're all trusting uncertain riches because at the end of the day, it's all designed to get the common folks to opt into a system of totality or totalitarianism, which means a draconian type system. You know, a dystopia, a iron rule like government, man, when everything you do is monitored and tracked and taken advantage of, and you have no rights, you have no freedoms, you have none of that. And this is the world that we're fastly approaching. And people, they're asleep because their heads on their phones, man. But it says here, uh charge them in this world that they be not high-minded nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living Yahweh or living power who give us richly all things to enjoy. So we have total sovereignty over the planet Earth, but we have a devil that's in rulership that chips away at our sovereignty. So we're bound by this dependent system of taxes and bills and, taxes and more taxes and police forces. I mean, we're totally being oppressed on all sides, man. And the average person just got used to it to the point it was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and lube it up for you while I bend over. And people are taking it up the rectum, man, because, they don't have any fight in them because they're afraid to lose the little that they don't have. And it says here, richly all things to enjoy. Okay? So Esau, man, it's not looking too good. So let's see what comes of it. Lord's will, Yahweh Shai makes good on this prophecy, man, because hey, we're ready to see it all fall. Okay, which this will lead to more inflation, soon to be hyperinflation. So expect the Dow Jones to literally just go out of whack. We may see another collapse in the stock market tomorrow, depending on how they negotiate this thing. But regardless, man, shit is getting ready to get real, real expensive. So that little $10 cheap plastic rug you want for your living room or for your bathroom, your washroom, that shit may be $60, $70 now, man. The little cup holders y'all like, the little trinkets and stuff like that you like to put in your apartments. Hey, shit gonna go up. The little action figures, man. The Happy Meal, hey, the toys they put in the Happy Meal, all that shit comes from China. All right? So this is the book of Sirach 10:1. It says, a wise judge would instruct his people, and a government of a prudent man is well ordered, all right? And it says a wise judge, and this man is not wise, because how the hell are you putting terrors on people and you clearly have no leverage? All right, you have no leverage, but like I said, this is all set up by design to collapse the dollar. Like Dabu said, China has already hacked into their infrastructures. The water departments, the banking systems, the health department, they got all this shit. They can attack it anytime they want. And they've been given the keys through the elites, man. Not to mention, he said they got about 1 million soldiers over here just waiting to be activated. Okay, those Chinese nationals that came across the border last year, 2 years ago, that Esau is not talking about in the news, they're literally in plain sight, man, waiting to be activated. And it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. Okay, you have a bunch of unwise and wicked judges, and this is why the people are wicked. But it says, what manner of men the ruler of the city is, such as all they that dwell therein. Yeah, a bunch of slow bellies. Okay, a bunch of misfits, a bunch of incompetent morons here. Okay, these people couldn't manage a fucking doorknob without screwing up, man. Okay, and when you look on the rise, the cognitive decline of the Babylonians is at an all-time low. And I know that for a fact because, hey, it's harder and harder to focus. You constantly on edge. You don't find any rest. You constantly walking around. You have bad habits. It's just like, damn, we in hell. But it says here, an unwise king destroyed this people, but through the prudence of them that are in authority, the city should be inhabited, man. Okay, an unwise king. And that's what Trump is. It says, and the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he was set over one that is profitable, man. And this man is not profitable right now. Okay, if anything, he's unprofitable because not only is he doing damage to his people, he's doing damage into the whole world because the whole world can retaliate off this, which we can clearly see that the whore is breaking up from the beast, from NATO, the EU. But this is part of the prophecy, man. Okay, so this is the book of Revelation 18, and I'm going to start at verses 21, and it says, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. So there's going to be a violent overthrow in a hence called World War III. And it says, and be found no more at all. And the voice of the harpers and musicians and of pyres and of trumpeters should be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman's or whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of the millstone should be heard no more all in thee. Okay, matter of fact, let me go up a little bit. I think it's verse 10. Yup, the start of 10, it says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise anymore. Yeah, okay, because not only these tariffs, once it's said and done and the missiles hit, all this stuff is going to be done away with. Okay, the vehicles, all this shit, apartments, everything is going to be laid. That's everything that you see around us will not be here in due time. Everything. It says, and a merchant of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and of fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manners of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil. And remember, all these particular things are imported over here. Okay, you have what they call maritime law, man. Okay, maritime, when they're, maritime, when, the trades and so forth, the back and forth, the ships and shit, because America, they don't produce anything. They don't manufacture anything anymore. And still, shit, you can forget about that. And it says, in ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusteth after are departed from thee, and all the things which are dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find no more of them at all, man. Because there's going to be an ultimate destruction that Babylon the Great will see. All right, this is the book of Ezekiel 28, and I'm going to start at verses 4. It says, and with thy wisdom and all thy understanding thou hast guiding thee riches, and hast guiding gold and silver into thy treasure. And by thy wisdom and by thy traffic, this is going into the maritime, it says, hast thou increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore thus says the Lord Yahweh, because thou hast set thy heart as the heart of a power, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they should draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they should defile thy brightness, and they shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas, man. So all these tariffs and retaliatory tariffs is going to come back and bite you in the ass, man. But with that, all praises and glory and honor that is due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you were edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.